Alright.
Got a laddie here, Jeffefson Smith.
Yeah. Today
you went to the SEIU local 49 office.
But I talked to him.
You were telling people that you like this guy right here.
Thanks, man.
And why do you like this guy?
Good bus.
Because of the bus project?
Yeah.
Where he was helping kids? There are 2 women specifically?
You know what?
You were asking them what they wanted, or who they were choosing for mayor. You couldn't get a straight answer out of them?
Yeah. I said I was biased.
You said you're biased?
Yeah.
You know that you've made up your mind already?
Yeah.
That's not bias, that's wisdom. That's good judgment.
Have you heard about the mayor? A problem with the mayor? Or current mayor?
Which one?
So you've been focusing a lot on the youth pass issue.
Yeah.
And
Is that a bummer?
It's a big problem?
Yeah, it is.
Because Sam Adams shook hands with the head of TriMet, Neil McFarlane. That bothers you because that should mean something when you make an agreement like that? You should be able to count on it.
I haven't been involved in the negotiations, so I don't know what agreements they made. What I do know is that I've got some disagreements with what TriMet's been doing. I also know they're in a real tough spot in terms of the budget. So I'm trying to be careful to second guess what the mayor's doing to try to urge TriMet to help save the youth pass. Right? I don't know what's been happening in the negotiations, but
they had you're saying they had a handshake agreement that
to save the youth pass or to get rid of it?
Yeah, to save the youth pass.
Oh yeah, well if they had an agreement to save the youth pass, I mean I
think Sam Adams was willing to give up the free rail zone, right? As kind of an exchange. There's a lot of problems with TriMet. Their attitude towards people? You got a big box of all the newspaper articles, and you've been following it closely. There's kind of an attitude that the people that use TriMet, we've talked about this a lot, so I'm kind of filling in. So one of your big issues, at soccer games they're putting up corrals and corralling people, and then they won't let you out until you've shown fair, and people who try to get around it will be chased down. So Laddie, you think that they're treating people like cattle in that way?
Yeah, how
do you feel about that?
So I think I give them a little bit of leeway, and I know that the easiest thing for me to do right now is just to whack on TriMet because everybody's mad at TriMet, and I am
too. You've been watching it go downhill, and
No, it's been going down for more than 1 year. For a few years. So
you think the max, ever since they brought in the max, it's been diverting resources? Your opinion? So you're sponsored by Affleck, but this is your opinion. It's not reflecting on anybody else. So all the issues, like the TriMet police, the transit police, you mean? And then all the money they're spending on the max?
Okay, I was just about to text you.
to see it. So, my sense is they've got a big budget challenge, and they've got to do a few things. They got to figure out that budget challenge, and they got to improve operations. So on the budget, that means they've got to figure out what to stop doing, what to save money on, and how to raise revenue. So they can looking at big capital projects, like big trains and stuff that are hard for us to afford without a lot of federal money. That's got to be one place where we save some money. Another place is looking at the same thing we've been pushing on in the city, which is are there places in administration, are there places in middle management we can save some money?
Yeah.
The other is we got to look on the revenue side. And this is why, if they're doing fare enforcement, if they're trying to get people to pay their fares, I hope they do it in a humane way. I hope they don't corral people like cattle. But I do want to make sure they get people to pay their fares.
That really hurt you. What's to keep? You said come to your home box. Like, what's to keep that from eventually turning into you just being in a box in your home? And you have articles. You can see a trend in the articles. And so I think maybe it helped to point out here that one of your biggest issues, like, you care a lot about the budget, but even more important to you is the attitude that people have towards.
Yeah, that's the other. Is and there's another reason why I think we need to be, why we have to be smart and careful. Because if what we say is TriMet sucks, and then say, which you didn't say that, but let's say somebody did. All right, and if what we do is criticize them. And I think a lot of those criticisms might be legitimate, but we also have to be aware of the morale of the workforce, so that when they arrive to work every day, they want to be there to serve. They're not just feeling like they're under attack. They're there and they're going to help, and they're doing a good thing. And so we've got to figure out the ways we can make them feel supported, even as we try to address the challenges. And I think that's the needle we have to thread.
All right, we'll move forward.
One more? The cops.
Yeah, just generally?
Here in Portland?
Sit behind.
They'll shoot you in the back?
Yeah, that question, how it feel.
So, what I have said, and I'm trying to say it in the following way, is we need to improve the problem-solving culture within the police bureau. What they did in New York City was they improved training practices. They reduced officer discharge of firearms, largely through training. And I asked a senior official about this, and the way it was explained to me was they trained officers that when they arrived on the scene, they were there to solve a problem. Not just there to make an arrest, not just there to discharge a firearm, not just there even to enforce the law, but there to solve a problem, which might or might not include a bunch of tools. And I think that, yes, police accountability, yes, making sure the police chief is focused on a problem-solving culture and is supported in doing that, making sure the staff sergeants are elevated based on our ultimate, our most important criteria, but then also making sure that training practices are building the kind of practices we want in the police bureau. Also understanding that police officers are facing a much larger population now with budget cuts and deinstitutionalization, facing a much larger population of people who are suffering and facing mental illness. And we've got to address that too.
I'm worried now.
You're worried now? You're worried that somebody's going to hurt you?
Yeah,
if you don't agree with them?
Yeah, I hear you. And the police, and I think the best elements of the police bureau really understand the importance of people feeling safe around police officers, and understand it's important for them to keep the safety. And what we've got to do is put the things in place in the city so we can bridge that gap between the expectations of our people, our legitimate expectations between police management and between police officers.
If you were, so if he was mayor, what is there one specific action?
Right now,
with regard to the police or something else?
Right now they're counting votes.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't be one thing. It'd be 5 things. It'd be accountability. It would be making sure the police officer does wrong, that they're held accountable. It's making sure that the police chief...
They're not accountable now?
Making sure the police chief is pushing for a problem-solving culture. Here's a very specific thing. And here's the thing I need more people thinking about. It's the best piece of advice I've had on the police so far, which are the people that impact the practices, habits, and culture of on-the-beat police officers more than anybody else is their staff sergeant. And that we've got to make sure that staff sergeants are elevated not just based on who they know, but on what they know. And that they're pushing for the kind of habits, kind of practices, kind of culture that we want. And so elevation of staff sergeants, I think, is a very particular thing we can do. The other is increasing community engagement among police officers. Whether that's figuring out ways to get more officers living in the city, or whether that's getting more officers who are engaged in Little League, or whether it's doing what the fire department, Fire Bureau is doing, and getting firefighters into schools. But then the other is the thing I was saying. I think the most important thing, it's not as immediate as staff sergeants, but I think the most important thing is looking at the opportunity of building a new training facility as a chance to improve training practices.
I looked at one time. I did off one time.
You did what? You went to a training session with police officers once to show them how to deal with people that maybe are hard to understand.
Yep.
It didn't. In your opinion, is it didn't do much.
So what other places do is they do a couple things. One, they have, as a volunteer program, police officers who are interested in taking additional training do that. But then the important part is when they do that training, if any officer comes into a context that is with somebody who's either hard to communicate with or with somebody who's suffering from a mental health challenge, that they call one of those people who've done that training. And that has been more successful even than a cursory training of everybody. So that's something we can do better on the training front.
All right.
All right? It's good to see you. All right. Thanks for your support, too.